this board, this bottom board, is going to be cut off even with it, and then when the next panel goes in, it will go all the way down flush against the bottom, and it will be this width, and everything has to be cut precise or the box will be out of square. Alright, I've cut this back panel to width. Still got to cut it to the right height. It's about a 1/4 inch too long. We'll cut that off in just a minute. And I've done a mock setup of how it's all going to go together. And I've checked it for square. And everything's good there. For no better than that. But now we'll cut this down to its correct height, which, as you can see, it's just about a 1/4 inch high on each side. Cut that off to where this is flush, and that will have the cherry part of this box done. And then well, no, actually it won't. We've got to cut inside of this some grooves to put drawer tracks in for the drawers, and then this is done after sanding. Alright, I've sawed the top of this back panel off, and I purposely left it just a little bit long, and then that way I can sneak up on the perfect fit. You hear that hitting. That's, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just a small amount, maybe a 64th or so above the walls. We'll cut that down with a hand plane. Each pass, we want to go back and check our progress. Probably need another one. Alright, I don't know if you can see that or not. It looks like it's still high, but that's because of a pencil mark where I marked it to saw off. Take those off. But that is to the perfect height now, and it took 5 passes with a hand plane. Not too bad. Just have to finesse it to fit. Alright, now instead of doing any more to the box for the moment, and I'll explain the reason why I want to do this, is because I may, if none of the stains that I have on hand, and I go from something that's real light to something that's real dark, I got some scrap pieces of this cherry out. We're going to try these stains on to see which one looks the best to our eye. And the reason being is I don't have a whole lot of the maple, and if nothing looks good with this stain on it on this cherry, what I may do is try, I'm not going to do it unless I have to, try to cut enough of that maple up on the bandsaw and then plane it down to a veneer and cover the cherry completely with maple. Just glue slabs of maple onto the side of it, and then we'll have a completely maple box. I really don't want to do that. It looks better when the colors contrast. So what I'm going to do is I've got several pieces of cherry laying out, and I'm going to try different stuff on it just to see what it looks like. This one right here, I have golden oak. I'm going to do that on this side of the board. This right here, I have a sun bleached wood stain. This is a weathered gray. This is a dark walnut. This is hickory, and it's a gel. And this right here is a gun stock. I also want to try, without any stain on it, just some teak oil. And on this this side of it, we're going to try some boiled linseed oil, just to see what it does to the color of that wood. This, I have some water-based polyurethane. It makes a crystal clear finish, but it will bring the grain in the wood out. And this right here is a clear gloss polyurethane, and I'm going to try that on this side. So we'll set up and we'll do that, and I'll show you what each piece looks like when I get done with it. Won't make you sit through it, but I'm going to just put a little bit on, wipe it off, and see what it does to that wood grain. Alright, the test has been done and the results are in. And we're going to start on the right side and go from right to left, and then I'll move this out of the way and we'll get those in the back. Now not all these are completely dry, and they may look a little different tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at them now, and we'll take a look at them again tomorrow after they've had 24 hours of dry time. But starting out, we've got the gun stock. This is the color that you will mostly see on hardwood floors. Of course, this is hickory. It's a darker stain, but it's not so dark that it covers up wood grain. And here's what they are. The gun stock is on the right and the hickory is on the left. And I kind of like the way that hickory looks. And I believe that darker side will contrast good with, and I've laid a piece of this maple in front of all these two. This is just cut off, and keep in mind too that this has had no stain of any kind on it. This is just a rough cut off. I hope that light is not blocking you from being able to see its color. But anyway, that's the hickory, and this is the gun stock on the right. Next we have, this is dark walnut, and that is this side, and this side here is the weathered gray. The dark walnut, if that'll focus, does a pretty good job, other than it's kind of real dark. And the weathered gray, not a fan. Not on cherry anyway. It may look good on an oak board. Looked like it'd been on the side of a barn for a while, but not really what we want. And here's what those look like alongside just a maple cut off. Next we have sun bleached, and we have golden oak. The sun bleached doesn't really look that great on the grain. It makes the board look like it had a bad paint job. Not a fan of that either. But now this golden oak, it darkens it, and you can see every bit of that grain, and with a few coats of poly on top of that to give it just a little bit of a sheen, I think that would look real good. That one, out of what we looked at so far, to my taste, the golden oak would come in first, and the hickory gel stain would come in at a very close second. Give me just a second to move this front row out, and we'll pull the back row up. Alright, here's the back row. And on the right hand side of this board, I've applied nothing but teak oil. And keep in mind, this has got no protective coat on it at all, which we will probably be putting polyurethane on it no matter what. But I just wanted to see what the grain would look like through these finishes. But on the right hand side of this board, we've got teak oil, and on this side we have boiled linseed oil. And both do a good job of bringing out that grain. I left a bare spot in the middle so you would see. They wouldn't bleed together. This right here is just bare wood. But if you can see that, this is the teak oil and this is the boiled linseed oil. Both do a good job. They don't turn it so dark, and a good poly shine on top of that I think would look pretty good. On this one I've put water-based polyurethane, and it's a clear gloss. This is a clear gloss also. It's just a polyurethane. The water base is on the right and the other's on the left. And both of those, and they're not a wipe-on poly, and the way that I applied them was like applying a wipe-on poly. So they won't have that smooth coat on it. But we get the idea of what it's going to do to the grain. And I've laid a piece, just a cut off piece of the maple in front of it to see what they look like against each other. And I think, from my eye, and what I believe will look the best, will be to take this golden oak and use it and apply a water-based poly on top of it. I think that that will have the best results. And I'm going to let all this set overnight and dry, and that will give me a good finish tomorrow. I'm going to come back in and put poly over the top of my top choices and see how they look then. And I'll also test some on just this poplar, or not poplar, but maple. Alright, we've done all of our testing, and I think this right here, to my eye anyway, is the best look that I can get out of that cherry. This is just the golden oak stain, and it has right now only one coat of clear gloss Minwax water-based polyurethane on top of it. Now this is roughly what the casing of this box is going to look like. I'm going to have a 1/2 inch overhang in the front, 1/2 inch in the back, or on the sides, and a 1/2 inch in the back. The box, the lid will actually be 1/2 inch all the way around, larger than the box itself. What I have here is this box just dry fitted all together, and the clamps, I don't have any cauls in them, so they are just tight enough to hold without leaving an indentation in my final workpiece. This is holding the box together. I have went around it with a square. Everything is set good, and I have it upside down on the box top, and I have exactly 1/2 inch reveal all the way around this. And I'm going to, before I cut my bullnose in it, I'm going to mark it on all the way around the inside and the outside for the channel that I'm going to cut for that top of that box to actually sit down on, about anywhere between 1/4 to 3/8. Now I have it marked out as best as I can. I don't know if you can see those marks. They're 1/2 inch in the back and then 3/4 inch apart down the front. Alright, what I'm doing now is I've got my top upside down, clamped down to the face of my workbench, and I'm using a router. I have taken a knife and scribed a line along the edge of where this dado is going to go, that the edge of the walls will go up into, all the way around this box. I've got it marked. I've just got this side cut so far, and I'm taking a router by hand, freehand, and trimming that out. And then I'll have to take the chisels and even those sides up. Just take a knife and cut on your line, and that gives a sever to the fibers for when the router bit gets close to them. It nips that off and it doesn't splinter like you see splintering doing here. This will disappear when I get to my mark, and it'll be a good, clean, even edge all the way around, as long as I don't let the router slip. Now we got our dado track cut out all the way around, and it is very, very close to the final width of each piece. I'm going to have to go around it and fine tune it, but because the router bit is round, it won't cut these square corners out, so I've got to go around with a hammer and chisel and square up these corners, and then I'll take each piece and set it on top of it and see if there is anything catching it, which there probably will be. I went as close to my line as I could, trying not to go over. Alright, here's where I'm at right now. Everything has had multiple coats of polyurethane, and everything has been stained that's going to be stained, which is the cherry pieces over here. They have all been stained. I have removed all the tape. The two cedar drawers I did not want to cover up that beautiful cedar wood, and they are all finished except for this side. This is a side that I had this drawer sitting on, and it's got its final coat of poly on it right now, waiting on it to dry. And the back sides of these two, the two drawer covers, drawer fronts, and the lid, the bottom of it, has had a coat of poly put on it. And the only thing left is to let those dry and then assemble it. Here's where I am right now. I got the knobs turned for the drawer fronts, and they are on there. Turned 2 of those. Those are turned, made out of maple, and I've got them finished and attached to the drawer fronts. And the box has been completely finished. We took a back set on it. The finish that I had originally put on here wasn't Minwax, and after I took that box, when I glued it up, after I took it out of the clamps, part of the finish pulled off, and it had had days to set up, and this finish hadn't set up. It felt dry to the touch, but when I clamped it up, pulled the clamps and the cowls off of it, finish come with it, and I had to resand it and refinish it, and I used Minwax clear gloss polyurethane. The drawers are made. They are made out of cedar, and I made these dividers for this one out of the maple, some scraps of the maple that I had left, so she could put smaller stuff in here and keep them separated. And we left this one open, that way she can put postcards down in that. Her husband was in the military overseas, and he'd sent her postcards during his service, and she can put those in that box. And this is the polyurethane that I had bought and put on this box. It goes on good, mixes when you put a little bit of mineral spirits in with it, it will mix down and go on real good and looks real good. But its dry time is never, so I don't recommend that. So now everything is finished. The only thing left to do is to attach the drawer fronts to the drawers, and this box is completed.